Well, hello and welcome to PM Express, and today we are looking at the menace of tricycles on our roads. It's a phenomenon, it's a disease, it's a sadness, something that really bothers me as a Ghanaian, and I'm sure it bothers you as a Ghanaian, that when something starts going bad, something starts going wrong, we seem to be very, very powerless to stop it. It could be the smallest of infringement, and we just watch, look on until it becomes a complete, total menace, and then we start to fight to stop it. And I can give many examples from Galamsey. One person digging up there until the whole nation was dug up. All waters were destroyed. Ghana Water Company complaining, and then we send the military out. I can start again with what you can term as Okada. You know, 2 people start on their bicycles, 3, 4, and now all urban areas are choked with illegal riders riding very dangerously, and now it's out of the hands of the police. They can absolutely do nothing about it. You go up to people who jam traffic. As soon as there are 2, 3 cars getting up to a junction, everybody feels they need to drive on the verge of the road and cut in the traffic. Now it's become a culture. The police can't stop it. But today we're looking at tricycles, Mahama Kambu as they call it. Now these tricycles, are used, in the rural areas very fine. But here you have on the Tema motorways, on high-speed roads, 120, 100-kilometer roads, and you see a tricycle laden with refuse, plodding along at 20 kilometers an hour. And it's become one too many, and we are watching on, and very soon we will be overwhelmed and we can't stop it. I mean, what is it about us that just when something starts, we can't stop it? You look at people who live in kiosks on illegal, by the rail side, by the motorway side, and now they form their own city, and it's beyond stopping now. But today we are looking at tricycles because we think it's at the verge where maybe the state can come in and say, listen, no, you can't do this, it's dangerous. And you drive and they are just leaving their refuse on the motorway anywhere. Folks, when is it that we'll be able to nip things in the bud? The tricycle menace is too dangerous and should not be added to the vices that have left to fester and grow. My name is Nana Ansakwa, the 4th Chief of the Republic of Akomo Dumasa. When I come back, I am talking to a man who is not happy about this traffic mix with tricycles and sports cars on the motorway and speedways. Don't go. Well, with me in the studio is my senior brother, Nana Ano Ame here. Those of you who follow the show, remember he gave me a nice, cool helmet? Yeah, thank you. I still owe him thanks, even though I've said thank you already. But Nana, thank you very much
it's a pleasure
for coming to discuss this issue. It's a worry. I don't know what the rules are, but there seems to be a growing traffic of tricycles that are carrying refuse or any other thing. And you find them on the motorway, you find them on high-speed roads. They're just everywhere. What's the traffic rules with tricycles and how do we mix it?
Well, Nana, you just nailed it in your intro. We just allow things to fester, and then it gets to a point, then you throw our hands in the air and say we can't do anything about it, although it's illegal. Let's go with it. Now, why am I saying this? I mean, the Okada Menace started just as the way we see the tricycles now brazenly plying the motorway. And the motorway, the level of service on the motorway has strict regulations. Because if we call Tema motorway a motorway in its real sense is a restricted high-speed highway. Restricted high-speed highway. So there are certain motorized vehicles that are bad on the motorway. And the reasons, and for good reasons, because when there is a disorder on a road, it leads into a conflict. And when there's a conflict on the road, you get a crash.
Okay.
When there's a crash, you get serious injuries and you get fatalities. That's why those who designed the road designed it with regulations, how to use the road and use it, I should say, safely to avoid conflicts. Because if you don't avoid conflicts, it's like the airline industry. You know, the sky is open. You can just go wherever you want to go. But they have strict rules and regulations that every airline, anyone operating the airline business must conform to. They have an association, IATA, and in Ghana you have National Road Safety Commission ensuring that there is order on the roads. But what do you see? I haven't been to Tema, but of late, about a week ago, I had some small business to do in Tema, and I used the motorway, and my heart nearly flew into my mouth. What did I see? I saw a bunch of human beings, and I mean, as if they have been brought from Newcastle coal mine, underground, looking so dirty and filthy, and sitting on these tricycles with another person sitting next on the carriage, which is by law, you're not supposed to even carry a pillion on the tricycle. Yet they sit there as a, I'm sure you've seen it, as a co-pilot. And then brazing this, battling with this traffic. You have sports cars who on our roads in Ghana, it's like an autobahn on the motorway. You can, if your vehicle can do 200 kilometers an hour, they will do it. And then you have these tricycles who have not got full view of the traffic around them. And the law says that the regulations, if you want to drive a motorized vehicle, you must have full view of that vehicle that you're in charge of. In front of you, on the side, and behind you for maneuvering. Because if you're on the motorway, you'll be changing lanes. And if you're changing lane and you don't know what is behind you, you're going to create a conflict. And what happens? You create a crash. And on the motorway with that high speed, it's not permissible to allow such a traffic of 20 kilometers an hour mixing with 180 kilometers an hour. Definitely there's going to be some conflicts. And these, in the full glare of the police. And when I was looking to get the Road Traffic Act on insurance, any motorized vehicle, apart from bicycle, push bikes, that goes on the public thoroughfare must have an insurance. Nana, are you telling me that these tricycles that are using our motorway, are they insured? Now, if they are insured, I want to know the insurance company who is insuring them.
What the covers?
Because the law, the road law, LI 2180, which was passed only 2012, regulations 128. Now, let me read it verbatim, then for your listeners or for your viewers, then they will see what I'm talking about. Regulations 128. Somewhere here. This is the road Bible, you see? It says, prohibition of use of motorcycle or tricycle for commercial purpose. 1. The licensing authority shall not register a motorcycle or tricycle to carry a fare-paying passenger. That's fare-paying. But it says commercial purpose.
Yeah.
So it's not only then, a person shall not use or permit a motorcycle or tricycle over which that person exercises control to be used for commercial purposes except for courier and delivery services. Those tricycles on the motorway, are they doing courier services?
Well, they're delivering refuse.
The refuse are, that's courier business, right?
Well, it says delivery services, so can that fall under delivery? Well, delivering it to the refuse dump.
Delivering it into, but for what? For charity?
Well, what's for charity?
Well, it's for commercial purposes. They're doing it for pecuniary gains, isn't it? Those who are doing it, I'm sure there's a company behind it, or those individuals, they are not Father Christmas that they're going to go and carry this refuse, battling the traffic from wherever they pick them from to take them all the way to Tema for nothing. That's for commercial purposes. It's commercial activity. But our law prohibits that. Now, having said that, now let me clear something that is on my chest, that I must say. During the time of President Mahama, as a road safety advocate, and a sincere one at that, the tricycles that go based on the law, we went to court, road safety advocates, that these Mahama Kambu that President Mahama had put in his Green Book of Achievements, that he was using the tricycles, I mean the auto rickshaws that have been covered. They're also the same tricycle family. He was using them to alleviate youth poverty in the 3 northern regions. We went to court to stop that because against it was against the law. The Attorney General then dribbled us. We never got a hearing in court, but the case is still pending. But the politicians, at the time when we were doing all those things, we were on the rooftops speaking against it. That was against the law. They shouldn't do this or whatever. The NPP in opposition then were rubbing their hands with glee and say, yes, go hit them. It's not right. But now, what do you think? What do you see? NPP, who's a tradition that has rule of law. NPP, anything to do with rule of law, then it's NPP. I mean, you can forgive the NDC where they're coming from. I mean, Patapa Party where it's through what do you call it, coup d'etats and what have you. So you can forgive them.
No, that's very unfair.
No, but that's a fact. I mean, it could be unfair, but it's a fact that the tradition of, I'm trying to make a point. That's why I'm saying that you can forgive the NDC because we know where they're coming from. But Dr. J.B. Dankwa's party of rule of law, where we are fortunate that you have a president, Nana Akufo-Addo, who is the doyen of rule of law, now at the helm of this government, seeing tricycles that are prohibited on the motorways, running riot on the motorways with impunity.
Well, let me take a break. Could that be that that's a wrong perception? Because, well, you have Delta Force and all that, you know, so could that be a wrong perception that one party is less violent than the other or the other is more violent than the other? But let me take a quick break and come back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we are looking at the tricycle menace in the urban areas. Tricycle menace in the urban areas. But, I mean, Nana, should the law be changed? Because, you see, I don't know, even though this law just came in 2012, I don't know, have we outlived it? Sirens was just limited for the president. Now it looks as if there are more people in government that are in a hurry than the president. Should it, you know, we rewrite it so that other people are allowed to use sirens? I'm just asking. You look at, you know, motorcycles not to be used for commercial purposes. Maybe in the cities we are okay, but in the urban area, should we write it and classify that, look, this is an urban area and therefore you can use your motorcycle there because there are cars not. I don't know. So of course, otherwise it's just like a whole mass of people breaking the law, and the police are just thinking, look, you know, have a field day, just break the law.
No, I was making a comparison with the two political divide. Mm-hmm. You know, rule of law.
Yeah.
See, when, you know, a lot of people thought President Akufo-Addo won massively at the polls because of the likes of Kennedy Japan, who comes on air to say that he financed the NPP and all those whatever. It's not. There's a constituency out there who wanted rule of law, law and order to work in Ghana so that everybody will live peaceably wherever that he chooses to live, or whatever he chooses to do, he'll do it in a peaceful, tranquil environment. Because of the impunity of the Mahama boys, what they were showing out there, there are so many people, including my good self, who wanted a change because we couldn't stand what those young ministers were doing with impunity in terms of the siren, running roughshod over niceties and stuff like that. So Nana Akufo-Addo and his team should not have a false sense of security that it was their people who only voted for them. But there are a whole host of constituency out there who voted for a change because they wanted to embrace rule of law. And that's why I'm making that comparison. But look at these tricycles. The law is here. It's very expressive. It says that you cannot use tricycles, mopeds, and what have you on the motorway because they create conflicts. Then conflicts equals road crashes, accidents, and then fatalities. Now, somebody was making a joke that Nana Addo is now investing the country resources into educating the country, the free SHS and what. Which is a good thing. But if he's not careful, after his whatever term, somebody may hold him for causing financial loss. Because if you don't put interventions on the roads, and you go and use the country resources to educate all these Ghanaians, and then you go and dissipate them on the roads through this carnage that you're seeing, then don't you think somebody can take the government to court for causing financial loss?
I don't get the link. Maybe after free education, they would leave the tricycles.
No, they wouldn't leave the tricycle because the free education, the tricycle, it's not only those who are in the tricycle that are going to be killed. The tricycle, which that shouldn't be on the motorway, is going to create the crash. Like there was a panic, I learned about 2 weeks ago, there was panic breaking because somebody just all of a sudden came across the tricycle and he has to stop. What's his name? The tipper truck that was following couldn't stop and crashed into a BMW and killed the 2 occupants instantly. So the 2 occupants that were killed, were they tricycle riders?
It's very sad.
So that's the point that I'm making, that we do not want to use the country resources to train the human resource and then dissipate them on the roads. Let me make an example. In Sweden, they have 7.7 million vehicular population. Guess how many they killed? How many fatalities on the road do they have in a year?
How many do they have in a year?
260.
About 7 million vehicles.
7.7, almost 8 million vehicles. In Ghana, we have 2.5 million vehicular population, and yet we kill over 2,000 Ghanaians, irrespective of their background. Some of them are KIA, doctors, professionals, technocrats, and maim 15,000. So Sweden do not have any natural resources, do they, that you can talk of? Yet they are one of the most rich countries in the world, isn't it? And they have resources and other things, and they are very, very well developed. But look at how a country, we are blessed with all these natural resources, but instead of putting our resources and creating interventions on the roads so that we do not get conflicts that will result in fatalities, we believe that instead of putting interventions, we rather pray to God. So in Sweden, the reason I use Sweden have, throughout the whole country, they have 23 churches. Sweden have 23 churches. In Accra, if you start from Mateo Kotu, you count about 6,000 churches in Accra. We pray 24/7, yet we are killing 2,000 plus and maiming 15,000 on our roads. So the God that we are praying to, isn't that God listening to us, that we should stop the carnage on our road? I'm sure in Sweden, they put interventions on their roads. That's why they don't get these deaths on the road.
But are we not too poor to adhere to laws?
No, that's
the thing. I'm too poor. I need to sell here. I'm too poor. I need to use this bike.
I think education is number one. And in Ghana, on our roads, we have a commission, an agency, National Road Safety Commission, which is mandated to educate people on the road. I can tell you because I work closely with National Road Safety Commission. This year, their budget was cut by 40%. Now, if it's a government that cares about people that are being killed on the roads, what do? You put money behind the agency that would ensure that you do the needful, educate the drivers. You do this. You have public awareness, fora, and all what have you. But none of that. Rather, the budget of National Road Safety Commission has been cut by 40%. So they cannot carry out their activities to be able to stem the dissipation of the human resource on our roads. So for me, every person, if you run a company, and when you identify that your company is leaking, whatever, you put interventions in place to stop the leakage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're a government that believes that you believe in your human resource, you want to educate your human resource so that that's the future of the country, you ensure that you put interventions in place so that you do not dissipate the human resource on the roads. So, if I were to make a recommendation, I would recommend that the National Road Safety Commission, the president, if he's serious about fighting the carnage on our roads, you should bring National Road Safety Commission to the presidency as part of the agencies under the presidency, under his watch, so that he would resource them and ensure that they put interventions on the road to stop the carnage.
Let me go to the phones and speak to DSP Alexander Obeng, who's director in charge of research and education. DSP, you're welcome.
Thank you.
I am grateful that you respond to our call at this very late hour. For God and country.
For God and country, thank you.
DSP, there's a culture in this country where when something starts, we are unable to stop it or nip it in the bud, and then we wait until we get overwhelmed. Most of the times it's for political reasons, because if you're going to stop it, they will say, hey, we won't vote for the government, and then you get a call, and then it starts. Now, what we are looking at is tricycle traffic. There seems to be a growing amount of tricycles carrying refuse on the motorway, and it's dangerous. And it started. We are wondering if there's any plans to stop it, check it, or this is one of those things that is going to overtake us by event.
All right. Good evening to Nana.
Yes.
I think two Nanas.
Yes.
And on behalf of Ghana, I want to say kudos because it's not easy at this time now, but for the purposes of promoting public health and safety, we find ourselves here. We have a problem that confronts all of us on our road, obviously, because the crashes that are occurring involving all categories of vehicles and persons is not good news. And you clearly stated the menace we have on the motorway. We have only motorway we have in this country between Malam Junction to.
DSP, can you raise your voice a bit for me? Because
yes,
thank you.
The only motorway we have between Malam Junction and the motorway runabout in Tema motorway, which is Kwame Nkrumah motorway, and then George Walker. But the problem that has bedeviled that stretch has rendered it not a motorway, but a dangerous link. We admonish that all users must be very careful when they are on that corridor.
Yes, but why wouldn't the police just stop it? I mean, why can't they just stop it? Look, you're not allowed here, particularly when you are, so heavily laden with baller, as they call it.
Yeah, I think it is a problem that we have. The country is gradually getting overwhelmed with the use of motorcycles, be it those bicycles or tricycles, and they want under this discussion, and the use that they have been put to, and the ignorance associated with this use, and the fact that such vehicles moving at that slow pace, laden, are not supposed to be on motorway. And I agree with you. Moving on, enforcement should refocus to ensure that such vehicles are protected and prevented from using the motorway, because they expose themselves to danger, and they also pose danger to the users of the motorway we have. So it's a problem. So I'll use this opportunity to appeal to these
DSP, but
people who are involved.
DSP, but do you know if I was driving a DV plate, a car with a DV plate, I mean, no matter where the police are, they will jump onto the road, chase me, stop. I mean, by all means, they will stop you. I don't know why they are unable to react to any other thing. Only the DV plates just gets them so excited.
And that's why that as the country is getting overwhelmed with the use of motorcycles.
No, I want us to limit it to tricycles, because I think tricycles is.
Yeah, I'm talking about motorcycles. You are getting it's new and it is spreading, and you can't compare enforcement to the trade license plate bearing vehicles, which are dealing with that for ages, and that may be the reason why they easily get attracted to traffic police officers and police officers in general.
Yes, before I let you go, is it because maybe it's a Maslow thing? It's this youth job business.
I don't think it's about
the job creation.
How people, the source of these tricycles, but then we are dealing basically with the youth and how recent it is and how overwhelming, and the fact that we need to do more. Because you also know that enforcement is a big challenge, and the problem associated with enforcement, in particular on the use of ownership and use of motorcycles, is also a bit problematic in this country. That there's too much interference, and I'm not surprised all these things is happening. But moving on, I think there's a problem, and which calls beckons for solution. And I think that we have to intensify and for the lookout and protect such users of these tricycles, and by preventing them from using the motor, which exposes them to danger when they are found on that corridor, and ensure that they are also found on appropriate routes that will ensure that the work they do also is becomes beneficial to themselves and to the society. Let's note that delivering very good service by clearing our streets and communities of rubbish and taking them to the dumping sites that are located in the peripheries of these sprawling settlement of Accra and Tema. And that is what we are talking about. And the fact that motorway seems to be the shortest but dangerous link for them. And so I think moving on, we have to, because they have a very good, vibrant association. So we need to proactively
DSP, Nana Noami here was asking if they are insured, these tricycles.
I think under not only tricycles, all motorcycles, be motor bicycles or motor tricycles or quadricycles in this country, are also motor vehicles.
So they have to be insured, but are they
supposed to be registered with number plates and even roadworthy?
Yes, but are they insured? Are they insured?
Yes, and they are supposed to be insured. And
so
I know most of the motorbike owners have insured their motorbikes, except few recalcitrant ones who do not, and mostly our operations exposes them to danger.
Thank you very much.
Exposes them to arrest.
Thank you very much. That's what time will allow us. Thank you very much. That's DSP Opong in charge of research and education, MTTD.
You see, I touched on insurance earlier on. That's why I wanted you to ask the DSP if these vehicles are insured. You see, for an insurance company, the insurance to be valid, they have to comply or conform with the law. You see, taxis are registered by DVLA as commercial vehicles. So they have different number plate. They identified their number plate is different. Commercial vehicles, private vehicles. This motorcycle, because the law does not permit them to be used as commercial vehicles, they have only blue number plate, like your bike and my bike. We use only blue number plate. So they are not registered for commercial purposes. So which insurance company that the law says that this vehicle cannot be used for commercial activity will ensure that? So all these, activity. If the police wants to, tomorrow we should go and mount a police check on the motorway and ask for all the tricycles their insurance. You see, that was the reason why I'm talking about rule of law. We should be in an era of rule of law when the NPP government is in office, especially when Nanado all his life has stood for rule of law. So I cannot fathom it that under the rule of Nana Akufo-Addo, the doyen of human rights and rule of law, now under his watch, all these things are going on. I can't understand it.
I mean,
I can't take it. I can't. Somebody's Ghanaian, I can't think far because what is the police doing? Tomorrow, if the police want to run about, we should go on the Tema Motorway and go and mount a police check there and inspect all these tricycles that are breaching or violating the road law. Ask them for their insurance. They won't have any insurance to show. Yet they are applying the road and creating havoc on the motorway. And who in this 23rd century would go and carry rubbish in broad daylight in a city like Accra? Where? Tell me. If you go to Abidjan, you can't see any rubbish.
I got a message here from Boachi. Boachi says, no, let's think of solutions. These are my quick thoughts. All motor tricycles must register with the names of the owners and drivers. Before you use the motorway, you get a ticket at the toll booth. The ticket is inspected at the end of the motorway to ensure that you have brought your goods to the end. Landfill sites should not charge the motorcycles when they discharge, and they should be charged monthly. We must establish hotlines where public can report offenders. And he sent a picture of absolute heaps of rubbish on the motorway. So these are some of the solutions he's doing. But it looks as if the police are throwing up their hands in the air.
What your texter was saying, you see, the motorway, you cannot have that traffic mix
on the motorway.
On the motorway, doing 20 kilometers an hour when somebody's with his Porsche 911 will be doing 200 kilometers an hour. They don't mix. That's why the motorway is not for mopeds and tricycles, because they cannot be with a traffic flow. And then it will generate a conflict. So basically if the police are out there up and doing, they should not allow the tricycles to carry rubbish. And the road law, a person shall not drive a motor vehicle if that motor vehicle does not have an interior driving mirror and exterior driving mirror, which are fixed on the motor vehicle in a manner that enables the person driving to have a clear view reflected in both mirrors of flowing traffic. You cannot go on the motorway when you cannot see either side of the vehicle. And look at how these tricycles are laden. They go above about 3 meters up in the air. They are not balanced. And you go, and who would put his life on a tricycle? Look at the pictures that are on your screen. To go on the motorway, that you have high-sided vehicles on the motorway doing in excess of 100 kilometers an hour. The wind itself can even suck you in because your thing is not balanced. And that's where the danger is. So the police, if the IGP is listening, he should deploy his men and they should go on the motorway. One, if they don't comply with the traffic regulations.
But then honestly, it wouldn't take 10 men. I mean, if you just put 5 on either side, that's it. Even one. Even one policeman.
So why are they doing it?
I don't know. I mean, that's where maybe I should have brought a psychologist on here to tell us why it is we just watch things to fester. You know, and when lives are at stake, you would think that, you know, when lives are at stake.
I get so emotional about these things because the people who are being killed on our roads, it's needless deaths. And also dissipating the human resource that we need to build this country. Doctors are being killed. Last time, Dr. Adu, a year ago, 2 years ago, Dr. Adu, who was a former MP for Tiwa also, a whole he was a professor. He was killed needlessly. And the young ones, now we are killing 23% of our youth, whom Nanado want to educate them for the future. His vision was that if you educate your human resource, that's where your strength is for building your country. But we educate them and then go and kill them on the roads. Does it make sense? It's like we're carrying water with a basket.
So, I mean, again, going back to the rule, should we write it so that in the rural areas, you know, you can use it? Because that's the only way, that's the only means of motor, whether it's Mahama Kambu or not. No car is coming. Yes. You haven't supplied them any buses, no.
I said earlier, everything is about order. If you have a control measures, that will control them so you don't get conflicts. Then for me, I'm as a road safety advocate, I'm interested in the deaths on our roads. So if you're going to put controlling systems and control measures in place so that you avoid these conflicts, I'm all for it. In the urban area, you can use them in the arterial roads.
But now what's happening is that if I can use it in, let's say, Bolga, and I'm okay, then based on the excuse that, well, then okay, I'll also use mine in Tema. Because, you know, Nana is using his in Bolga. So unless the law says, look,
Bolga,
you can use it.
The argument in Bolga, you cannot use the same argument in the...
No, but at the moment, the
low volume of traffic does not lend any danger to the user itself or to the public.
No, but when you come to the law doesn't say that now. And therefore, the guy in the urban area has the excuse, because if somebody can use it...
So, Ghana, don't let us talk about law. The law on hawking, this thing prohibits hawking on the street. And it's a low-hanging fruit. Don't the police and government officials, the MCs, the DCs, don't they see these hawkers? Those ones, are they like motorbikes that you have to chase them? They are on the streets. And the same way they are breaking the law, the same way you catch an armed robber.
Should we rewrite our laws? Because maybe we are strangling ourselves with laws and pretending that, look, we are Sweden. This law works in Sweden, so it should work here. But, you know, if you look at the amount of people who probably are above the, you know, bread line, they are more than us. So maybe we say, okay, hawking is allowed, but dress decently or do, I don't know, maybe allow this, but do that.
What I see is that people find means of getting into public office. And when they get to public office, they get their largesse and they are comfortable, and to hell with every one of us. The reason I'm saying that, EPA as an agency, supposed to regulate everything about the environment and what have you. But the EPA current director, if you write a letter to him pointing out something that is not right, he doesn't even give you the courtesy of a reply. And likewise, most other government agencies and stuff like that.
Going back to these rules, because, you know, everybody's, we make the laws, we don't implement, we make the laws, don't implement. Maybe because we are copying laws from countries who are, you know, well and good. We are not well and good. Should we modify our laws? Okay, look, you can use motorbikes here, but you can't use it here. But if we do a blanket rule that don't use it, then too many people fall in the trap of breaking the law, and then nothing happens.
I'm not a lawyer, but I read about law. They said we have something you call symbolic law. Symbolic law are just there for window dressing. They are not there to be complied with. So that's what basically we are doing in Ghana. Because all the laws, the fine laws in our statute, this regulation flowed out of the Road Act, and it covers everything. You can go through it and everything, but who is there to enforce it? The people who are there to enforce it, they get into office and they get all their Land Cruisers and bungalows and what have you, and they don't care.
You see, if you enforce these laws, I mean, half the nation is going to. I mean, if you say, look, no more Okada, and Okada people got up and said, okay, that's it. We are abiding by the law. We are going home. The amount of pregnant women who will have to walk to hospital, the amount of market women who will be able to come from the, farm side. I mean,
so you deal with the public transport.
But
are you saying that you don't have public transport in
so some of these areas don't have public transport. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe our laws have become too rigid, and we have to go back and look at it.
No, I don't think the laws are rigid. You can't do any otherwise.
I mean, there are
some
farmlands that it's only a tricycle that has access to this farmland, and there are tomatoes there that need to come to the main road. So if the guy says, look, I mean, I can't use this for commercial purpose, so I'm not going, that's the end of it.
Well, you see, then it goes beyond governance. I mean,
see, so that's what I'm saying, that maybe our laws are tying, a noose round our neck, and that maybe we should split it up. So, because once the guy...
then we are going to remove the law that prohibits hawking on the street, and then say that, yes, we must do hawking on the streets.
But because with certain guidelines.
Guidelines. So
because
you're going to have a mix of human interface with vehicular traffic, where they will be struggling for...
it's been with us since probably in Nkrumah till today. It's just the numbers are getting bigger. So maybe if you're going to group them in hundreds and, put those who wear red sell water and those who wear green sell bread.
What could be a good law is that you put the onus on motorists, that motorists should not patronize hawkers. Because motorists, now we are getting this digitalized things and Ghana card and what have you. So if the police has a camera that catches you, a motorist patronizing the street hawker, that will get rid of the street hawking.
But that's wiping hundreds of people off their daily bread.
Well, then you find, you see, the whole thing about Ghana is that the government owes everybody a living.
Well, because the economy hasn't expanded.
Well, but farming. Now, look, last time I was telling some of these truck drivers, or GPRT drivers, I said, with this artificial intelligence, within the next 5 years, when they start rolling out these trucks that are autonomous, that they are not driven by human beings, you won't have a job. So let's find where our strengths are. Go back to the land and till the land. Organic farming, organic food. Now the GMO is giving, the Europeans and Americans are rejecting GMO.
As much as there's many lands, there aren't lands available for them.
For who?
For these people who
are milling around in the urban areas. Well, they don't come from Accra.
I know, but they're not landowners.
No, but if you come, we do Abusa. If you come to my land, I have 200 square miles of land, my two lands, owned jointly by 3 of us. If you come and you want to do Abusa, we'll give you a land, take 100 acres, farm it, and come and atone tenancy to us, and then what have you. It's there. It's been going on for years. We have Akwapin people on our land since 1924. And they've been farming there, and they just come and give us some token every year, and that's it. So we have all this land. Go to the northern region. That's vast land that can go miles and miles, that we can grow rice. The name of rice is domesticated grass. We can turn the whole of the 3 northern regions into a food basket area where we just grow rice. And the $1.2 billion of rice that we import every year, just invest 600 million of it.
So you think we should stick to the law and enforce it?
Yeah, well, yes. Because a country without law, then we are in the land of anarchy. If you don't have laws, then I don't think President Akufo-Addo's government we want to do away with laws.
No,
Then what is democracy?
No, I'm not saying no laws. I'm just saying flexible laws.
No, what is symbolic laws?
Well, no, not symbolic as such. But
symbolic laws, yeah. If that's what you want to go, I don't think that will want Nana Akufo-Addo will want to have any of that.
That's interesting, but. In all seriousness, tricycles carrying refuse and tricycles carrying load on high-speed roads, if that also becomes, get to the state where, we are really unable to do anything about it, causing death, that will be sad and needless. We plead with the police that please, please, please put your foot down on this one for God and country. All too soon, that's what time will allow us. I want to say big thank you to Nana Ano Ame here. Once again, on Saturday will be Kaba's funeral at the State House on the 16th of December. It's Kaba's funeral. Hope to see you all there. Big condolences to Dr. Yaw Abuajata's family, Jojo Abuajata. Wednesday coming, tomorrow next, will be the 1 week. Hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.